MPC, and monthly stimulus checks for the low income. I have all the details and what you need to know right here in the video, so let's get right into it. All right, now in this video, I want to discuss the acronym MPC and how it directly relates to monthly stimulus checks for the low income, as some studies have been conducted and they continue to find time and time again that highly focused checks for the low income gives the best results. Let's get into it and discuss what's going on. However, really fast before we do, thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here or if you haven't done so yet, please make sure to subscribe right down below the video, as it's totally free to do so, and I'm here for you right by your side each and every day, watching the latest details hitting the wire, doing the research and breaking it all down into these short videos so you can stay posted on what's actually going on out there and anything you can possibly grab right now during this very expensive and very busy time as things continue to change very rapidly. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into it and talk about MPC, monthly stimulus checks for the low income, and where we currently stand and what they find from all of these studies. All right, so before we get into this, let's talk about MPC, what this is, as this is a very important acronym, and I want to break this down for you because it defines who falls into the MPC category, and these are the people that they want to focus on as far as giving additional money to in the event of additional stimulus checks. So MPC stands for marginal propensity to consume. So let me say that again, marginal propensity to consume. Now that is just a very smart way of saying, basically, if you give somebody money, who's going to spend it, who's going to save it, who's going to spend a portion, who's going to save a portion. So basically what they find from all these studies is that they want to find people with a very high MPC, marginal propensity to consume, because here's what they find. For those people that have a high MPC, these are the people that would stimulate the economy the most. Now let me talk you through the details of these studies, because this is actually very interesting, and they actually break it down to 3 different categories of those people with a high MPC, a medium MPC, and a low MPC. Remember, the goal here is a high MPC, because that means the people that they give money to in the form of stimulus checks have a high MPC, and they are the ones who stimulate the economy the most. And this is what they find from these reports. Very interesting stuff here. Let me break this all down for you. So here's what they find. When they distribute stimulus checks, just like the 3 stimulus checks that we found and that we got during early 2020, late 2020, and early 2021, here is what they found from these studies. And going forward, this actually may give additional information for the next round of stimulus checks and or monthly stimulus checks, anything along these lines. This is very valuable data. So here's what they found. From those 3 rounds of stimulus checks, high income people, as in people that have high income, have a low MPC. Not good, okay? These people, higher income people, they typically do not spend the checks. If they receive a stimulus check, what they do with it, they typically pay down bills, which, by the way, that is not spending it. That's paying down debt. They invested in the stock market, invested in the crypto market, or they simply save it. That is not a high MPC. That is not the objective of stimulus checks, okay? That is high income people. Now, here's what they found with middle income people, medium income people. They have a medium MPC. In other words, if they are receiving $1,000 in the form of a stimulus check or something like this, generally they save about half of it, or they invest about half of it, or they pay down debt with about half of it, and they spend about half of it as well. Therefore, they have about a medium MPC, okay? It's okay, it's not great, but it's not the best in the world, okay? It's an okay MPC. They stimulate the economy a little bit, but they don't have a huge effect on stimulus, things like that. So they do kind of half of what they're supposed to do with those people with a medium income. But here's what they found with low-income people. Low-income individuals, according to these studies, have a high MPC, exactly what they're looking for. Okay, let me break down the details of this, because this is where it gets really, really interesting, and there's a bunch of additional details on this and additional data that they found from these studies as well. Low-income people, generally, those individuals, by the way, this is how they identify low income. Those individuals with generally about a $50,000 or $60,000 annual income or less, okay? That is generally how they define low income here as a result of these reports, okay? So about $50,000 to $60,000 of income or less is how they're identifying low income. Here's what they found. Low income people have a high MPC, exactly what they want in the form of stimulus checks, okay? Here's what they found. As they continued to study all of these individuals, they found that those individuals that fall into this income category with a high MPC generally spend about 80% of the money within 10 days. Exactly what they want when they come to stimulus checks, okay? Here's what they also found. Those individuals that have $3,000 or less in savings generally have a high MPC as well, okay? Now again, why is this so important? Here's why it's important, because remember the whole purpose behind stimulus checks is because they care about us and they want to give us money so that we can, buy, thrive, things like that. No. When it comes down to stimulus checks, here's what it comes down to. They give us stimulus checks because they want to stimulate the economy. It has nothing to do with us other than using us as the proxy to get money into the economy very, very fast, okay? So here's what they found. Going forward, because we've seen all these studies coming out talking about, oh, the stimulus checks over the last few years, the $1,200 in early 2020, the $600 in late 2020, and the $1,400 in early 2021 caused all the inflation that we dealt with during the second half of 2021, all of 2022, and most of 2023 is what caused all this inflation. Well, as you've heard me talk about in other videos, that's not really the case. All the stimulus checks combined encompassed about $850 billion. Meanwhile, during that same period of time, the Federal Reserve printed about $6 trillion. So I guess my rebuttal to that would be, what happened to the other, what is that, $5.15 trillion? That's what I would want to know, is where did that money go? And that's probably the major cause behind all of the inflation that we're dealing with, rather than the $850 billion in the form of stimulus checks. But again, we can talk about all of that in a separate video. But what I want to share with you here in this is that when they go forward, talking about additional checks in the form of a major recession, a major economic contraction, anything like this, they may look at all of this data and suggest, hey, why would we send out checks to 85% of the population like we did last time with the $1,400 check? Why wouldn't we just send out a highly focused round of checks to the lowest income people, $50,000, $60,000 of income or less, that have a very high propensity to spend, to consume, and then we know that that money will be spent very quickly, and we know that this will have the greatest effect on the economy and stimulate the economy the most. So that's what they continue to find with these reports, is that ongoing monthly checks, or at least a couple rounds of stimulus checks, highly focused, highly targeted on the low income, is the best solution, rather than sending out checks to a huge percentage of the population and only a small percentage of the population actually spending it and doing what they want with it, as in stimulating the economy, which is exactly what they want. Rather than doing something like that, they continue to find that sending out a couple rounds, 2-3 rounds of ongoing monthly checks for the low income and highly focused people would actually be far more effective than sending out more checks to more people, as in one-time checks to more people. That's what they continue to find. Super interesting stuff. So again, it all comes down to this acronym of MPC, marginal propensity to consume. And then again, they just continue to find who falls into this category. It all continues to come back to the low income. Time and time again, they find the low income is exactly the group of people that they want, who would do exactly what they're looking for, which is spending the money. Again, the statistics show it all, right? They continue to find with all these statistics here, very, very interesting stuff, okay? Let me go through those numbers again really quickly, because this is super interesting based on these reports. High-income people have a low, high-income people have a low MPC, low marginal propensity to consume. In other words, they don't spend the money. They save it, they invest it, they pay down debt. Not the objective. Middle-income people have a medium MPC. They spend some of the money, they save some of the money, they pay down debt with some of the money, they invest some of the money. Again, not what they're looking for. Low-income people, high propensity to consume. Basically what this means, they spend the money, 80% of it, according to the studies here, 80% of it is consumed, as in spent, within about 10 days, especially those individuals who have less than $3,000 in savings, as in a checking account, in a savings account, in liquid cash, whatever it happens to be. These individuals are exactly the ones that they look at that would, be the best option in the event of ongoing checks. And they continue to find this, that just sending out ongoing a couple rounds of checks for this one group of people would be more effective than sending out one check to 85% of the population. Crazy, right? Yeah, I mean, seriously, this is exactly the information that we want to know about, because this is exactly showing us that very clearly here, in the event of another round of stimulus checks going out, or another set of checks, ongoing monthly checks, whatever it happens to be, in the event of another major economic contraction, recession, whatever it happens to be, and if they need to send out checks, we could clearly see from these reports right here, we don't need to send out checks to 85% of the population unless they're trying to get some kind of, popularity vote, or some kind of, bribery or something like this. When it comes down to it, because we know a lot of times when it comes down to politics, we know that they love to bribe the people by giving money, okay? Again, this is not taking political sides. We know how it works. We've seen it happen before, and a lot of times they time these checks right in front of elections. Seems a little suspicious to me, right? I think we all caught on to it by now, right? But anyway, as a result of this, we can clearly see here, in the event of another check or another round of checks being needed right now, very interesting. They just continue to find a small percentage of the population, highly focused, would give the same effect as giving out checks to a huge percentage of the population at one time. I don't know. Pretty interesting stuff, right? I found this to be very fascinating. And again, at the same time, this points to exactly what we've been talking about here on the channel, and exactly what so many people need, which is ongoing checks. Forget the high-income people. They don't need a check. Do they want to invest it? Probably. Is investing in the stock market or the crypto market stimulating the economy? No, not one bit. Has nothing to do with that. Stimulates the stock market. It stimulates the stock market in a big way, but that's not what we're looking for. The stock market and the economy are two very different things. These things are not correlated, as in, they're correlated, yes, but it's not the same thing, as in, investing money in the stock market has nothing to do with the economy, as in stimulating the economy, the real economy, okay? Anyway, hope this makes sense, but I thought this was super interesting, these reports that are coming out talking about this. I want to break this all down for you and let you know what this means, this MPC, marginal propensity to consume, just a very fancy and smart way of saying, if I give you $1,000, are you going to spend it? Are you going to save it? Are you going to invest it? If you spend it, how much of it are you going to, if you spend it, how much of it are you going to spend, and how fast are you going to spend it? That's basically what it all comes down to. Interesting stuff, right? I thought it was anyway. So again, I'm going to continue watching this very closely, just like everything else going on out there. As I do get more details on anything, of course, I'll bring it to your attention right away. So again, please make sure to subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media, and go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel. Until next time, enjoy your day. Also, leave your comments, your questions, your feedback down below. If you thought this was interesting, I'd love to hear your feedback. I thought it was very, very fascinating, because again, it points exactly to what we've been talking about for so long now. Anyway, enjoy your day. Have a good one. Take care, and catch you again later.